Welcome back to our weekly series where we show you how you can do 6 dinners that are super yummy on a super low budget. So this week we tried to do some twists on some classics, but also did some nice light dinners and some just good old comfort food. So let's look at the menu this week. Here is our menu this week. You'll see that we have kind of a nice mix of different styles as well as different proteins. Now, I will say that I had a lot of requests over the last couple of days on Facebook to show how to use Orzo in different ways. So we're going to use it as kind of part of the main dish as well as a side dish. So let's look at the grocery list. This week, our total came out to $56.06. This was at the Super Walmart near Gilmanton, New Hampshire. Now, I will say that I left a little bit more wiggle room than normal on this because we always assume that you have your whatever preferred cooking oil, your favorite seasonings, and then this week you will need a salad dressing of your choice. So, we have about $4 under budget, so that'll be easy enough to pick up some salad dressing if you need it. Now, if you look at this list, there's quite a few pretty common items, especially when it comes to seasonings. On this list, we have taco seasoning, Italian seasoning, chili powder, even some really basic stuff like mustard and breadcrumbs. So if you have any of those items, you can easily knock your total down less. Now, if you want to check what the price would be in your area, I have a link down below to my Walmart grocery list. All you have to do is change the zip code to your local area and it'll tell you the price at your local store. The second link goes to my not my Facebook, but my website where you can download a free printable PDF. It has the grocery list as well as all of the recipes. Now, let's take a look at what kind of things we can prep ahead this week. This week, we really focused on super simple meals. So there's not a whole lot that you can do ahead of time, but you can if you have some time. The first thing is we're going to use one of those huge family pack of chicken breasts, and we're going to need that for 3 separate recipes. 2 of them just require that the chicken breast be cut up into a dice, bite size. So I would just cut up 2 to 3, maybe 4 breasts. It's all going to depend on how big they are, because sometimes they're mammoth and sometimes you get kind of medium size. And then we're going to need 2 breasts that are going to be sliced into strips. And then I would just go ahead and separate those out into 3 bags. And then when it comes to that night, you're ready to go. Now, on the plan this week, it's a 2-pack of pork tenderloins. Each pork tenderloin tends to weigh about 1 to 1.5 pounds. And we're going to use one whole. Depending on your crock pot, you may want to cut it in half if it's kind of a smaller or it's an oval shape. Now, the other one we're going to do where it's pork medallions, and really that's just 1-inch slices. So you could easily go ahead and prep that part. Now we are going to use either ground beef or a blend of ground beef and pork, and you can go ahead and pre-cook that and drain off the grease and then either put it in a Tupperware or in a plastic bag. That's something super simple. You can actually freeze that until whatever night you need it. And then we are going to use some fresh garlic. And this is one of those things that's a little bit time consuming if you do it every night. You can actually go ahead and clean off all the skin and get all the cloves, ready to go. And then I have my little mini food processor. I just throw all the clean cloves in there, give it a couple, bursts, and then boom, I've got tons of fresh minced garlic. The first meal that we're going to do is going to be some Southwest chicken wraps. Now, this is super easy, and you could actually do this with already cooked chicken, like a rotisserie chicken. You could pre-cook the chicken if you wanted to, and then just assemble it the night of. Now, you could just go ahead and make it as wraps and serve it as is, but I'm really liking where you do the toasted, almost burrito style. And I've given you 2 options here. One's a stovetop version, and one's an air fryer version. Both of them work really well. Now, typically you could add things like spinach or lettuce, but because we're going to do this toasted, those don't always work out great toasted. So you can play that one by ear. And of course, we're going to use some black beans and some corn, and you can obviously switch those out. You could do refried beans, you could do pinto beans, lots of options there. Now, this next one is kind of a twist on a classic. I feel like BBQ Pulled Pork is definitely a summer thing, but we kind of get bored with just regular sandwiches or, just kind of the normal way that we always serve it. So this time we're going to do one of these pork loins in the crock pot with a little bit of barbecue sauce. We're going to let that cook. And then when it comes time for dinner, we're going to serve this with grits, and not just any grits, cheesy grits. Now, it came out cheaper to do the instant packs of grits, but if you already have grits, or if you prefer to do like the 5-minute on the stove, those are all options. This is just super, super easy, and this was the cheapest route to go. So we're going to make about 5 to 6 packets, depending on how much grits that you think you will need. And then when they're hot, we're going to go ahead and fold in that shredded cheddar cheese, because then it'll get nice and gooey. And then I like to serve the shredded pork loin on top of this, and then kind of put the green beans on the side. But you could obviously serve this as completely separate items as well. Totally up to you. Now, I will say that my husband really likes this one, and he usually adds either some pickled jalapenos or some chopped fresh jalapenos to give it just that little extra heat or that kick. This is going to be our first Orzo recipe, and if you're not really familiar with Orzo, it is actually a pasta, but it looks like rice. And the great thing about Orzo is you can get that kind of risotto feel, which is typically made with rice, but it's made with pasta, and it's a whole lot quicker, and it's a whole lot more forgiving. So this is going to be similar to like a one-pot meal, where we're going to go ahead and cook that diced chicken, and then once it's well browned and it's thoroughly cooked, we're going to set it aside. And then we're going to add our minced garlic and our orzo, and we're going to toast it, which is similar to rice. Once we've toasted that, you'll see the color change just a little bit from like the kind of off-white pasta color to like a light brown. Then we're going to go ahead and pour our chicken broth in. Now, if you don't want to do chicken broth, you could obviously just do water or do like a veggie broth, any of that stuff. I just really like chicken broth with orzo. And then we're going to bring that up to a simmer, and then we're going to let that cook for about 8 to 10 minutes. And then you'll notice it's similar to rice, where the pasta is actually going to start absorbing that liquid. After it's cooked for about 10 minutes, we're going to stir in our milk and our spinach and our chopped tomatoes. Now, we ended up going with Roma tomatoes this week, just simply because sun-dried tomatoes can get really expensive. But if you have those already, this would be a great option to use those. And we're just really cooking this until the spinach wilts down. Now, when I use spinach, I just give it a real quick wash, and then I just kind of tear it so it's not like large leaves. It's kind of smaller, but you can also chop it, just whatever your preference is. And then we just go ahead and put the chicken back in the skillet, stir everything all together. And the longer this sits, the orzo will absorb more and more liquid, and it's just like a really good creamy dish. As a bonus, if you happen to have a little bit of cream cheese, you could also add that in there, and it'll just really, really up the creamy factor. Now, I didn't have including cheese on this, but if you had some mozzarella or some feta, something like that, you could easily top that with this as well. But I try to give options that aren't like dependent on cheese, but as with anything, you can always add cheese to everything. Now, I am a huge fan of baked potatoes, and I really love it when you top it with chili. So we're going to do a quick stovetop version of chili. Now, I've noticed at a couple different Walmarts that they have started selling, it's a 1 pound chub, and it is listed as ground beef and pork blend. So this is a great lower cost option than the traditional ground beef, but you'll still have a pretty good ground beef flavor. But this was like $3.63, whereas the cheapest $73.27 ground beef was like $4.66. So it made sense to go with this option. But honestly, you can use whatever ground meat you like, whether that's turkey, pork, beef, whatever. Now, we're just going to add an onion, we're going to add some garlic, and then we're going to add in some diced tomatoes, whatever beans you like. I've noticed a lot more people using pinto beans, but you can go with the standard of kidney beans. And then I like to just add chili powder, because a lot of times you'll notice that those packs of chili seasoning are primarily chili powder and salt. You can adjust the salt yourself. You don't have to pay extra for a mix. You could just use straight chili powder. And then if you wanted to get a little bit spicier, you can add in some cumin, you can add some garlic salt, whatever else you want to add in there. Now, once that is fully cooked, and you can adjust the thickness to the way that you like. I happen to like chili when it's a little bit thicker, but I know some people like it when it's a little bit runnier. That's totally up to you. Now, you can just top your baked potatoes with this, and I've given you directions here on how to go ahead and just microwave your potatoes into baked potatoes, because for me, that's the quickest option. But you can also do them in the air fryer. You can do it in the crock pot. There's lots of options to do baked potatoes without actually using your oven. Oh, and you can also grill potatoes to get that baked potato feel. Now, you can just top the baked potatoes, or you can scoop out the center, mix it together with the chili, and do like a twice baked variety, and then just put it back like in the air fryer and just melt it all together. That's a great option. And we're just going to do a basic side salad. We're going to have a little bit of the leftover shredded cheese, and then this is where that salad dressing comes into play. Now, when I worked for catering companies, we used to use very fancy words to make things sound more fancy than they were. So this is where pork medallions come from. Basically, a pork medallion is a center cut pork chop that may just be a little smaller than like what you would think of a big pork chop. That's all. So we're going to take one of these pork loins, and we're just going to go down and slice it all the way down about 1 inch thickness. You can go thinner or thicker depending on how you like it, but just know that can change the cooking time in the air fryer. Now, sometimes these are kind of moist, other times they're a little dry. So I just go ahead and pat them dry with a couple paper towels, make sure they're nice and dry. And then I just, in like a bowl, I just drizzle it with oil. I put on my favorite seasonings. I typically go with like a garlic and herbs, since we're going to do a lemon orzo, but honestly, you can do whatever seasoning you like. And then we're going to put these in the air fryer, and I like to cook them for about 10 to 12 minutes, and I do flip them about halfway. Now, with pork, every time I put it in the air fryer, I do check it with a meat thermometer, and I always want to make sure it hits 145 degrees. Now, once it hits 145 degrees, I turn the air fryer off, and I just let it sit. Pork is one of those things that you just want to let it rest for like 5 to 10 minutes before you eat it. Now, we're going to make a side dish, orzo, that's going to have some lemon flavoring, and it's going to be very similar. So we're going to put some oil in a pan. We're going to add our orzo and our minced garlic. We're going to let it toast for 1 to 2 minutes, and then we're going to slowly add that chicken broth, bring it to a boil, reduce heat, and we're going to simmer it for 8 to 10 minutes. This is with the lid off. So unlike rice where you would put the lid on, you're going to leave the lid off. Most of that broth is going to be absorbed, so you're going to remove it from the heat, and you're going to stir in your favorite seasonings. This is another one where I do like a blend of herbs and spices, normally like a garlic and herb blend. And then we're going to take our fresh lemon. We're going to do the juice and the zest. So zest it first and then juice it. And then we're just going to serve it with a side of broccoli. And I just like to steam these in the bag in the microwave, so you can do that however you like. Now, who doesn't like chicken tenders? I know it's kind of a funny question, but I recently read that the most popular item ordered at American-style restaurants is chicken fingers. So we're going to do kind of like the shake and bake version of chicken tenders, but we're going to do the homemade version instead of buying like the little pack. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our 2 pounds of chicken breast. We're going to slice it into strips. Now, because eggs are still kind of high priced, we're going to use mustard as our binding agent, but if you wanted to, you could just use a beaten egg or two with a little bit of water, and you could use that. So we're going to just dunk our chicken in either the mustard or the egg, and then we're going to put it in our breadcrumbs. Now, I usually buy plain breadcrumbs, and then I add my favorite seasonings to it, whatever I'm feeling like, and then I just kind of pat them into the breadcrumbs, so that way the breadcrumbs are fully on there. Now we're going to do this in the air fryer, so I just lay them all out on like the basket, and then we'll pop them in there, and once again, it's about 10 to 12 minutes, and I like to flip them halfway. This is one of those that you could also check with a meat thermometer. For chicken, I tend to go right around 160, 165, and once again, I like to, once it hits that temperature, turn it off, let it sit for 5-10 minutes. Now, we're going to use just some regular russet potatoes, and we're just going to make some mashed potatoes. Now, if you can figure out where I'm going with this, we're going to take these homemade chicken tenders, and we have two options. We can do it where we do some brown gravy over mashed potatoes with chicken tenders and peas, or you can do it more KFC style if you wanted to, even though we had corn another night. If you had some left over, you could do it here. Do a little sprinkle of some cheddar cheese, and you got your own KFC bowls. That's up to you. My kids don't really care for it all together in a bowl, so they're going to want everything separate. So just adapt this how your family would eat it. Now, I am a huge fan of adding fruits to meals, and this is two reasons. One, the majority of adults do not eat enough fruits and vegetables. Second part is that if you show your kids that you're eating fruits and vegetables, they are more likely to also eat them. As kind of a bonus, I have found that by doing this for the last 2 years, just by having that quarter cup or half a cup of fruit on my plate, it actually makes me feel fuller. So I'm not eating a huge amount. Plus, it kind of cuts out that sweet craving. So then I don't, 2 hours after dinner, feel like I need a cookie or, something sweet. These are kind of the options that I'm seeing that are at good prices or at rollback at Walmart. But I am not going to fib here. I find a lot of these produce items cheaper elsewhere because a lot of grocery stores use their produce prices as loss leaders or as kind of a gimmick to get you in the store. So if you can shop multiple stores, you may get better prices on fruits and vegetables. But if you're one-stop shopping, these are the fruits that I would suggest looking at Walmart. I can tell you that the last 2 watermelons that we've got from Walmart have been great, but keep in mind, you need storage space for watermelon, and you need to make sure that you will eat it all, because if you throw it out, it's not really worth the price. Now, we have had a lot of new subscribers and some new people on the channel, so I just wanted to remind you that I have a link down in the description for my free meal planning workbook. This is really like a meal planning starter kit. It has all kinds of blank templates that you can work through to help set up your inventories, how to, figure out what your ideal grocery budget is, how to track your spending habits, things like this, because these are all things that will help you identify your current habits and then make better habits, or at least grow on habits you're trying to create. So definitely check that out. And as always, don't forget to sign up for our email newsletter. We send out 1 email each Friday, and it really gives you the early access to our menu. It notifies you of new videos and all the content we put out this week. So I hope you have a great weekend. Bye.